Now, I wanted to just flag the phrase addictive personality that you might have come across. And there's a lot of controversy over whether there is such thing as an addictive personality and whether, people are more prone to developing addictions or whether it might just be a myth and whether there is any scientific research to back this up. A BBC article cited research that from experts that say there is no scientific evidence that supports there is such thing as an addictive personality. They argue the concept of an addictive personality, i.e. being prone to developing an addiction, is harmful because this suggests that individuals don't have control over whether they become addicted to something. One of the researchers, Mark Griffiths, he described having an addictive personality as a complete myth. So what does this mean for our question? Well, the claim that someone has an addictive personality is contentious. An addictive personality is not a psychiatric illness that can be formally diagnosed, but it's a common phrase people will use to often evaluate or talk about their likelihood to become addicted to something, unlike a personality disorder. And Mark Griffiths also says there is no single trait that predicts addiction and addiction alone. What are the arguments for and against this? And is there scientific evidence against this? These are the key questions we want to be thinking about. So let's return to our essay question, bearing this in mind. Is addiction a psychiatric illness, or is addiction a simple character flaw? Well, let's return to our main criteria that we have set out in previous lessons to distinguish a psychiatric illness and a character flaw, and see whether this applies to addiction. So, does the condition respond to treatments? Can it be treated? Well, we've seen, yes, it can be treated. Does the condition have strong links to certain risk factors? Yes, we've seen that having poor experiences in childhood or a bad upbringing can lead people to be more likely to develop an addiction or an addictive disorder. And does the condition subside or change when the environment changes or the individual develops? This we also saw evidence for in a previous slide. So one of the examples was peer pressure. When you're surrounded by other people who engage in addictive behaviors such as substance abuse or alcohol abuse, an individual is more likely to also engage in that behavior because of peer pressure. But when the environment changes and that individual is taken out of that situation or that social group, then the addiction is likely to subside. So in that case, we can say that we've met the conditions, and we could argue in that case that addiction is actually a psychiatric illness based on these three conditions.